SaucerSwap. Should we be hodling this play or should we be spreading FUD about this cryptocurrency? Obviously, I don't advocate you going out and spread FUD. It's just a fun clickbaity title, a nice hook to get you excited. We have successfully established the foundation of our small account portfolio challenge. So, straying away from some of the larger, safer plays such as an ICP or a Quant or a Matic, we are now diving into the more degen plays, the higher risk with potentially higher reward, which has led us to SaucerSwap. If you are not part of the Crypto Night Premium Discord and you are watching this video, count yourself lucky because this is premium research specifically orientated for the Crypto Night Premium gang. So shout out you guys. Happy to have all of you here. Let's get straight into things. Let's get right moving. Leading HBAR decentralized exchange. SaucerSwap is HBAR's leading decentralized exchange. They claim that they are the pioneering DEX on Hedera's Hashgraph network. Now, they are not the only decentralized exchange, and that is the first thing we need to be fully aware of when it comes to this cryptocurrency. In fact, they are one of 5 cryptocurrency exchanges. I ranked them here. I listed them. This is not an arbitrary order, okay? I listed them as it pertains to their Twitter following. Now, I know that sounds pretty ridiculous, but when you are doing a customer-facing application like this, when you're involved in something that is very much so facing the customer-facing, the bigger reputation, the more followers, the more well-known the product is, the more it's going to get utilized. If I'm thinking like, let me go trade something for Ethereum, I'm thinking MetaMask and I'm thinking Uniswap. When I'm thinking, let me go do something over on Binance, I'm thinking Trust Wallet and I'm thinking PancakeSwap, right? There's clear things in my head. I'm not looking for the 5th largest solution for a decentralized exchange. I know what I know, and that's what I'm going to go to. So as a customer, we're looking at the ones that have the largest following. Why am I looking at SaucerSwap and not Pangolin if Pangolin here had the most number of followers? Well, that's because this is not an HBAR native cryptocurrency, and their tokenomics were pretty bad. Just being completely honest, when I was looking at them earlier, their tokenomics were pretty awful. So I counted this one out, and I went straight for just the native decentralized exchanges. This is a multi-chain DEX, which could be interesting to look into if their tokenomics did not look like poop. This, by the way, is directly from Hedera's website, which I linked here so we can actually go check and verify. Don't trust, verify. Here we go, right here, DEXs. You can actually see HBAR's entire ecosystem here. You can click on anywhere you want to, like they have an AI tab. There's only one project in here, DaVinci Graph, which is pretty interesting. It's a tool for NFT creators, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Although, in a way it is, because if we are going to buy a DEX on an exchange, or a DEX on a network, we need to know that that network has a large ecosystem and that network is growing, right? Okay. What are the features of SaucerSwap? SaucerSwap is just like many other DEXs, but a more robust version of just like any other DEX. You can swap tokens, obviously. You can swap tokens on any exchanges that you should, or at least you should be able to. So you can swap tokens. You can provide liquidity in the markets, and as a reward for doing that, you actually get LP tokens. LP tokens you can then go stake and earn more sauce and earn more HBAR. So you can then go stake them and get, or go provide liquidity and get even more LP token. It's an endless printing of money, at least while we're still not at the fully diluted supply of sauce. A lot of things are going to change in a couple years when they reach that fully diluted stance. You can also stake your sauce. You don't have to be a provider, an LP provider. You can just straight up stake it. And then they are bridging of assets. So you can bring different assets onto HBAR's Hashgraph, which is pretty interesting to me. I did not realize how mainstream this had gotten, but there's a lot of things like this going out there. So that's perfect for me. I like that a lot. I wanted to show you right here in these 2 photos, the total NFTs and fungible tokens on HBAR's network. Like I said a second ago, the ecosystem must be robust for any DEX to actually have any value. If there's only 3 coins, the DEX is pretty much useless. Like, not actually useless, but you know what I'm saying. You want to have hundreds, if not thousands, like in this case, coins that you can trade on the DEX. The tokenomics. The tokenomics for Sauce were actually pretty good. I was actually pretty surprised when I was reading through this. There's a maximum supply of 1 billion tokens. Not bad. Definitely not bad at all. And roughly half of them have been put into circulation. So if we go ahead and click on this fancy link, it brings us straight to the white paper. You know I love white papers. You should love white papers as well. I know it's cliche and it's boring to read through some of these, but this is not a bad one at all. So 20% of the initial supply was launched. So out of that 1 billion tokens, 200 million of them were initially released when this started. And it was as follows: 2% for liquidity, 14% for airdrops, 2% for giveaways or marketing, basically, you can think about it like that, and then 2% for DAO treasury. Not bad. 20%. So just right off the bat, 20% are in circulation. Now, moving forward, we have the emission schedule for these coins, which is what we need to be paying attention to, okay? When you see that there is a max supply, or even not a max supply, any cryptocurrency are going to be issuing new coins, right? They're going to be issuing new coins. And so you need to be paying close attention to how rapidly they are issuing those coins. If you are in a project that is issuing coins at 50% a year, which some are diluting people by 50% per year. That means the network has to grow by 50% just to break even on the coin price. So we need to be paying attention to things like that. If there's a max supply, it's usually beneficial, but you can see right here the allocation categories and the percent of max supply going to each. So the team is getting a quarter of the supply, which is kind of hefty, but at the same time, not surprising for an HBAR token. 2% for advisors, 2% for marketing, 2% for DAO, and 50% for the LP farm rewards. Remember on the slideshow back here, how I was saying that you can stake and get LP tokens, and then you can stake the LP tokens. So that's how you get supply of Sauce into the market, by staking the LP tokens, which again is why it's only going to last until they're out of coins. This is the current release schedule, and I apologize, I'm running really quickly, but this is just how my brain goes right now. So this is the current release schedule for the Sauce tokens. We are currently at 450 million released, so we're almost at that halfway point here. The project has been out for just over a year and a quarter, give or take. And it's just a slow and steady grind. So for the next year and a half, they're going to dilute by a factor of one, or not a factor, yeah, by a factor of one. So they're going to increase the supply by 100% just about over the next year and a half, which not great, but not the worst. That inflation rate's pretty aggressive, but we know what it is. It's not the greatest, not gonna lie. That's not the greatest thing out there. Before I go on to the next slide, I want to show this part as well, because this part I think is good for people to be paying attention to. So this is directly on their website, right? This is SaucerSwap's website with the circulating supply. This is where I got circulating supply from. It wasn't just something I was pulling up by knowing exactly how long that it had been by. The market cap, currently speaking, this is circulating market cap, is 7 million. So this project is tiny. This is tiny, 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 okay? If it 100x'd, it would be the same size as Caspa. This is a small project right now, but that's why we're paying attention to it, right? We're paying attention. We're looking for opportunities in the micro caps of crypto. 50% of Sauce is staked, so that's pretty cool. That's nice to see that people are involved in the network, right? People are staking, they're involved in this DeFi network. It says total value locked is 22 million compared to a market cap of 7 million. It's very, very misleading on their part. This is very misleading. And how do I know that? I know that because they're saying the TVL for this DEX is the same as the liquidity, which I think is just a little sus. That's like, they're teetering a line here. They're teetering a line because the total liquidity provided Does not have to be, especially where you can like double dip on the liquidity by providing the LP tokens and the initial tokens. It's kind of a little bit of a phony number, but that's okay. It's obvious, so it's not like they're trying to hide anything, right? Cool. Now, I said I didn't really like their issuance rate. Not the biggest fan. It's not the worst, and where we know there's a maximum supply of 1 billion tokens and we're halfway there, that's like, generally speaking, that's a good sign for me, but for them to dilute fully in the next 1.5 to 2 years is a little bit aggressive for me, which is why I was pretty excited to see that there was a groundbreaking proposal in the ecosystem where people were trying to fundamentally shift the tokenomics of sauce, and I really hope it goes through. I really hope it goes through for the sake of people holding this sauce token. As you can see, I don't want to get into the mumbo jumbo, but they're differentiating so that you can like stake for the liquidity only in specific price ranges. It's pretty interesting, and I definitely recommend giving this a read through if you're curious. But what is the take home here? The take home here is that the emissions would be prolonged. So in the current emissions, the current release schedule, all of the tokens are in circulation in 1,093 days from launch of the coin. And we know that we are chilling right about here, about 400 days into it. So we would have about 600 or 700 days left to be fully diluted at a very constant rate, right? With the proposed sauce release schedule, that would be prolonged by an extra 1,100 days. So 3 years, give or take, right? Like 3.5, almost 4 years, right? If I'm doing my math out correctly. So I like that a lot because that would, while we remain at the same 1,000 million coins, 1 billion total supply, while the supply remains the same, it adds in several extra years to get there, meaning the inflation rate is decreased dramatically. And currently, we're sitting right here at this inflection point, at this proposed inflection point. So the inflation rate would drop instantly if this proposal were to go through. And you can actually see on this chart, I'm a visual learner, so this is how I get the most of what I'm doing. A lot of the change would come from less going to the devs and less going to yield farming and more going to this green section here, so the DAO treasury. So they'd be able to fund a little bit more. They'd be able to do a little bit more with their DAO. So I kind of like that as well, give back to the community in a sense, because a lot of times the DAO is going to go to proposals that are launched. So I really hope it goes through. I'm a fan of that proposal. Now, that covers a broad-based assessment of the coin. I hope you have been taking notes. I see you, Sawyer. Don't usually respond to the comments because I keep this clip so that I can then show, so that people rewatching it don't get kind of like drowned out with me just talking to you guys the whole time, right? That's why after this, after we go over the potential for SaucerSwap, we're going to go sit in the Kryptonite Lounge and we'll discuss it a little bit further. We'll have some more like heart-to-heart conversations about this. Let me take a sip. My throat's starting to hurt. What is the potential of SaucerSwap? Why am I talking about it? Well, if we look at previous layer 1s and their leading decentralized exchanges and compare them as a function of how much of the market cap did the DEX capture compared to how much of a market cap that layer 1 had, we see something pretty interesting. For Ethereum, its peak valuation was $550 billion, which is crazy. That's so much money. Uniswap, Ethereum's leading decentralized exchange, got to a market cap of $22 billion, meaning it was roughly 4% of Ethereum's market cap. If we look at Binance, BNB got to a market cap of $108 billion, while PancakeSwap, its BNB's leading decentralized exchange, got to a market cap of $6.6 billion. So we're looking at, it was a little bit over, I believe it was 6.11%. So 6%. So let's call it 5%. We'll keep it rounded and assume roughly 5% of the market cap of the layer 1 that leading DEX could potentially hit. Cool? We're in agreement? That makes some sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. If we look at what HBAR previously got to, its market cap was 6 billion. That means if Sauce was to come and capture 5% of HBAR's market cap, and HBAR only made it back to its previous all-time high, which in some senses is a big ask. Not many cryptocurrencies make it all the way back to the all-time high, but it's in our portfolio, it's in my portfolio, so I'm expecting it to outperform its all-time high. If it goes back to its all-time high, Sauce would have a market cap of 300 million. 300 million is a lot higher than its current 7 million market cap. A lot higher. So that's a huge X. And it's like, its fully diluted market cap is 15 million. So that's potentially a 20X in terms of fully diluted market cap. A 20X just if HBAR were to get back to all-time highs. If we see HBAR doing anything during the next bull market, I believe HBAR could realistically hit a $30 billion market cap. You have to remember that Cardano hit 80 billion in the last bull market, and it didn't even really have layer one. It didn't really have smart contracts. It launched them during that bull market. HBAR does have smart contracts. HBAR also has some pretty intense partnerships going on that not many other cryptocurrencies can talk about. Hyundai Motor and Kia introduce a CO2 emission monitoring system built on the Hedera network. That's huge. That's really, really exciting. And that is because of the HBAR Foundation, right? That's why it's a double-edged sword of HBAR. It is centralized with that foundation of a rotating board of 39 members, but that rotating board of 39 members is guiding HBAR to be a useful tool for corporations, and it's cool to see it being successful. So I think HBAR could go a lot higher than 30 billion realistically, but I don't want to like base everything off of that. So 30 billion, Sauce captures 5%. That puts Sauce at a $1.5 billion market cap. That is 100x from where it's sitting right now. That's a little bit of moon math. That is a lot of things going right, but you're saying to me that this coin potentially could 20 to 100x. Good tokenomics, built on top of a solid layer one. I think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth spreading FUD about. Personally speaking, I think this is a hodl for some like a leveraged HBAR position, right? A leveraged HBAR position. I think I am going to add it to the portfolio. Probably in the lounge right after this. Your time is your most valuable asset. Hopefully you found this worth investing into. I appreciate you guys for being here with me, and I will see you in next week's research